lovely viewers out there. Thank you so much for joining us today. Sorry for the delay. Today we have an incredible discussion and we have an amazing person joining us today. I really couldn't wait for today. I'm getting to know more about him. So I know today is going to be a wonderful discussion for all of us. My name is Augustina Osabute, and I'm a team member at Team Leadership and Entrepreneur Development Foundation. Today on our Talk on STEM Careers program, I have here with me Dr. Theodore Nyame. He's a renowned plastic surgeon and he has a lot of goodies, a lot of information for us today. And I'm really elated to have him here on our platform. Doctor, welcome to Teen Lead Foundation Talk on STEM Careers program.
Thank you guys so much for having me. It's really an honor to have this opportunity to do this talk. And most of these talks are in kind of the big fancy office, but this one is in the cars. I just got out of swim class with the kids, so this is great because they are in the background, as you can see, and they'll get a chance to kind of hear some of this as well. So I'm excited.
Thank you very much, Doc. So for the benefit of our viewers out there, could you please introduce yourself to us? Let us know a little bit about your family, your educational background from senior high school or even from junior high school to the university.
So I'm a Harvard-trained, board-certified plastic surgeon, and that's a fancy title, but I come from humble beginnings. Originally from Empraiso, Ghana, and when I was about 7 or 8 years old, my older brother and I came to the U.S. Went straight from Ghana to the South Bronx. There, my parents instilled in us hard work and values of education, and so we excelled. I went to school mostly in New York City, then went to Cornell University for college, graduated at the top of my class, and went to Harvard for medical school. In medical school, I always knew that one of the surgical specialties was going to be what I was going to do. I was drawn to that, and my brother as well. He chose neurosurgery, and I chose plastic surgery. So from there, I trained at the Harvard Plastic Surgery program. And while I was there, did a lot of really incredible things, got a chance to be part of the first full face transplant done in the U.S., several other groundbreaking procedures. Then I spent about 1.5 years traveling the world and doing surgery, which was phenomenal. So I lived in Norway, then Italy, then Austria, and a few other countries, and then came to Charlotte, North Carolina, where I currently practice.
So much for this wonderful introduction. I'm already excited for this introduction. So, most of us back in Ghana, as you said, you hail from Ghana, and most of us, we have to make a decision about what career we want to pursue, right, in junior high school too. And so what influenced your decision to go into plastic surgery, like into medicine and then into plastic surgery?
Yeah, first I'll take it back to where my roots. I was born in Empraiso, and I very well remember when I was young, there was a woman in our town who went into labor, and for whatever reason, something went wrong, and she didn't survive. And that really shook me at my core. I had questions about what could have been done differently and so on and so forth. So I always knew that given the opportunity, I wanted to do something in medicine to try to help those and heal those that are in need of healing. And so that drew me first and foremost to medicine. Within medicine, what I really was drawn to was the artistry of plastic surgery. Now, I think a lot of times when people think of plastic surgery, they're thinking primarily of, just cosmetic surgery. But there's a huge reconstructive component that allows you to restore shape and function. And that's something I was always intrigued by.
Thank you so much. I was going to ask that question, but you've already started, and I'm glad you started that one because most of us growing up, we've heard of plastic surgery and we always think about, oh, okay, trying to correct some parts of your body. But I listened to one of your interviews and I got to know that there was one woman who went outside to another country to have a surgery to correct some parts of her body, but unfortunately the procedure didn't go well, and you had to correct it to save her life. And I was really impressed with that. So thank you for going straight to that point. I was going to ask that, like, is it only about correcting some parts of your body, or what actually does that one entail? Can you elaborate on that? I think we are moving fast, but if you've touched that one, let us just zoom into
Yeah.
it.
When I think about it, plastic surgery is a problem-solving specialty. A lot of the innovations that we've developed in plastic surgery come as a result of problems that occur in war. So, for example, if you look at major conflicts, whether it's the World War I or World War II, people come back with injuries. Those injuries are oftentimes so devastating that you have to resort to drastic measures in order to correct some of these deformities. For example, if somebody, gets a bullet or a gunshot to the face and they're missing part of their face, there aren't many things you can do to restore that. And so in plastic surgery, we do a lot of unique things like take parts of the forearm, take parts of other bodies, take parts of the leg, and we can use that to reconstruct the jaw, restore the skin. And so a lot of what we do is really solving big problems. Fortunately, some of those problems have applications also in cosmetic or aesthetic surgery. For example, if somebody has had a child and because of it, their stomach is no longer as flat as it used to be, we know from manipulating other parts of the body that we can go in, tighten up the abdomen, restore the contour, and get them to look better. So a lot of what we do originates in reconstruction to solve big problems, and some of that has applications also in cosmetic surgery as well.
Thank you for that. So, in summary, although you've already started explaining what plastic surgery is about, or who a plastic surgeon is, but in summary, could you just let us know who a plastic surgeon is and what is plastic surgery, what it entails?
So, a plastic surgeon is somebody who uses the knowledge of anatomy and physiology to solve problems that come up in the body. We take parts of the human anatomy, we repurpose, reconstruct, and use it to restore defects in the human anatomy. And that sums it up well. The original term plastic just derived from the Greek plastikos, meaning to shape and to mold. And so that's what we do. We shape, restore, and repurpose parts of the body to fix problems that come up in other areas.
Okay, thank you so much for that. So what is your daily routine at work like? Is it
Ah,
always in the surgery room
yes,
working
thank,
on
thank, thanks,
people?
thanks for asking. And I think a lot of times in medicine we focus just on the daily routine at work, but work and home have to have a balance. So my daily routine starts in the morning, typically with these two in the background, my daughter and my son, who are 2 and 4. I'm a very involved dad. On some mornings, like if I'm in clinic, I wake them up early, get them ready for school, drop them off to school, and then I head into the office. In the office, if it's a clinic day, what I typically do is see patients. Some are patients who are coming to me with new problems that they're hoping for me to fix. Some are patients who have already had surgery, and I'm essentially following up on their care to see how they're doing. On the days where I'm not in clinic, those are the operating days, and those are the fun days. So those days, I typically will wake up somewhere around 6 or 7 in the morning, get to the hospital, and then from there prepare for surgery. The surgeries can last anywhere from an hour to sometimes 6 hours, sometimes even 7 hours in the operating room. Um, Usually I go in, I meet the patient and greet them. I do some markings where I draw on them that essentially illustrates the plan, and then I'm just totally focused on executing the procedure. And that's the part that I really love. It's a specialty where, if you like being able to kind of focus and do one thing for the few hours that you're operating, you're completely in the zone and focused on solving the task at hand. And then once that's done, we wake the patient up. I call their family members just to let them know everything went well. And then they wake up, and usually they go home. As soon as they get home, then I go back to my office. I do paperwork. Sometimes I'll do interviews. I do some community service activities as well. And then by 4 or 5 o'clock, it's time to get back in the car to go pick up these two in the back. And then I go home, eat a quick dinner, and then I start working with my kids on reading and math and all of those things. I happen to be married to a wonderful and phenomenal woman who's also in medicine. So my wife is a cardiologist, and so we take turns. So if she's late at work, I've got the kids. I get dinner ready. If she gets home first, she'll get dinner ready, and she'll get the kids. So it's really a partnership that kind of winds down till about 8 o'clock when the kids go to sleep, even though they oftentimes fight sleep. And then from there, I get back to other activities and other work that I have to do, from speaking engagements to research and things like that. And I do that till about 11 o'clock and then get ready for bed.
Thank you for that. That is a great routine. And I've been seeing some of your posts on Instagram teaching your kids. And I'm like, wow, at that age, they knowing those words, how to spell those words is incredible. And we are going to go to that session very soon on our discussion to know how you are able to do that. Yeah, we want those tips so that when we get there, we can also teach our kids.
Yeah.
Um, so viewers out there, if you just joined us today, this is Teen Leadership and Entrepreneur Development Foundation. Today on our Talk on STEM Careers program, we have with us Dr. Theodore Nyame, a renowned plastic surgeon, and we are talking about our topic for today is chance favors the prepared mind. But before we zoom into our main topic, we are trying to get to know our resource person today, and it's getting more interesting and interested. So I hope you stay with us. Start writing your questions on Facebook in our comment box, and then also if you are here on Zoom with us, start putting your questions in the chat box, and our resource person will do justice to that for you today. So Doc, let us continue with our discussion for today. So could you please tell us about some of the challenges you've encountered in your profession and how you went about it, or how the approaches you used in solving those problems or challenges?
Yeah. I think challenges and obstacles are just a natural part of life. For example, I wouldn't be where I am today if I had gotten a great opportunity to come to the US to study. You know, that was a once in a lifetime opportunity that I took advantage of. However, it's all about mindset. Okay. And this story I find very amusing. So, my brother, as I mentioned, is a practicing neurosurgeon, and I'm a plastic surgeon. When we lived in Price, Ghana, right, we were at the bottom of the class. Okay. When, in school, they rank you at the end of the school year. There, my brother and I were almost dead last. Okay. Because at that time we knew we had parents in the US, we took our opportunities for granted. We took the opportunities to go to school and study hard for granted and never took advantage of it. So we were literally at the bottom of the barrel there. Okay. When we came to the US, everything changed. We went from being, feeling like we were, relatively well off because our parents were in the US in Ghana, to living in the South Bronx and, one bedroom apartment with 5 of us, and realizing that literally the only chance that we had was the opportunity to come to the US, and that if we ruined that, nothing great was going to come of it. So I think in life, most people look at the lucky breaks and the chances and say, how can I get more lucky breaks? How do I win the lottery? You can't control that, right? The only thing you can control is whether you're ready to take advantage of these opportunities as they come. Every day, whether you have a chance or not, if you're getting yourself ready, if you are investing time in yourself, in your body, in your knowledge, the results will be there, because eventually you will get the chance. And when you do get that chance, you capitalize. However, if you're sitting there not preparing yourself, not getting your mind ready, just hoping that a chance will come. When the chance comes, you may blow it and never get another opportunity.
Thank you for that, Doc. Thank you so much. So we need to prepare so that when the chances comes, we do not blow them up. So that we can just take those opportunities, grab them whenever they come our way. And so, Doc, so I've also heard about some of your success stories, which I was really amazed about them. Um, as I earlier said, I got to know about you correcting the lady who went out for a plastic surgery which didn't go well. You were able
Yep.
to save her life. Then also, I know you graduated on top of your class in Harvard, which is really wonderful. So could you also tell us about some of the success stories you've had in your career so far?
Uh, it's hard. It's always hard for me to kind of to brag about myself. That's stuff I usually leave for my mom. But I've been blessed. I've got an opportunity to go to some really incredible places. What I'm most proud of is like you mentioned, the opportunities where I've really helped people. For example, that young woman who went to the Dominican Republic and had a number of procedures that were basically too many procedures, and came back with what we call sepsis, major severe infections. I'm proud that rather than letting either greed or the fact that I hadn't been the one to do her original operation get in the way, I was able to save her life to the point where today she's able to be with her daughter and her family. So I'm really grateful for those opportunities. And I think when it comes to accolades and success, the way I look at it is this: accolades and awards only reflect what you did to get them. Okay, and so if you spend too much time looking at your own awards instead of spending that time doing the work that it takes to get the awards, then the accolades stop. And so for me, I'm humbled by the path that I've taken. I'm humbled by what I've been able to achieve. But each and every day, I'm looking for ways to improve. Each and every day, I'm looking for ways to do better. And that way, the accolades continue to come. But I find so many times people are admiring their work when they were younger. Oh, I used to do this. I won this way back when. And to me, I'd rather look to the future and say, 10 years from now, I want to have two successful children who are at the top of their fields. And so looking forward to me is kind of where I direct my attention. At the same time, I'm grateful for the opportunities I've had and I'm grateful for the awards that I've received.
That is really wonderful. We have to continue working to get more accolades. We do not have to look at the ones we've already had. And so when I look at your profile, I was like, wow. Like, I just spoke to some of my team members. I was like, I didn't know what I was going into when I messaged him on Facebook and LinkedIn that we want him on our platform. But that is really inspiring. And I also looked up and got to know about your Bob Awards and then the top 2020 top doctor award at Charlotte Surgery. So could you please tell us about that?
Every year in Charlotte, they issue awards to some of the top physicians in the area, and a lot of these awards, if you have to have a certain level of professional ability to achieve. And for me, it's always a result of the work that we put in. So at my practice, each and every patient is treated like an individual. For me, the work never stops, right? The moment, if I'm not, with my kids, I'm calling patients, I'm checking up on them. I want to make sure that the kind of service that I provide is the best service they could ever expect to achieve or receive anywhere they would go. And my team has that same focus. And so in a very short time, we've been able to reach the list of top surgeons in the local area. My schedule is packed. Just the wait time for surgery, even though it's January right now, is currently out till about July of the year. So, these are all great things. But like I said before, to me, the accolades reflect what you did to get them. Each and every day, I try to think of what do I need to do to get to that next level. And so, every night after The kids go to sleep. I go to my office. I read up on the latest literature. I read up on the latest techniques. I read up on techniques in other fields that I may not even be considering, because you don't know what you don't know. And so by broadening your mindset, you open yourself up to be a better version of you. So many people spend time doing the same things, and then 5, 10, 20 years come by, and they wonder why they're still the same person. If you're the same person today that you were 5, 10 years ago, you haven't grown. And to me, that growth is incredibly important, to be able to look forward and say, 5 years from now, I'm going to be better than I am today. 10 years from now, I'm going to be better than I was 5 years ago. And that's how you continue to have an impact on people that last quite some time. And I think a lot of times we make excuses. Oh, I'm too busy, or I've got this going on, I've got that going on. And to me, there are no excuses. I mean, like I said, I just got out of a swimming pool with both of my kids. And, I'm doing this interview because I think it's incredibly important to be able to reach back to those, who may be in my shoes a couple of years ago, and see what we can do to uplift each other.
Thank you so much for that, Doc. So let's zoom into the topic of the day. Chance favors the prepared mind. Although you've already said a lot about this topic, how can the youth strategically position themselves not to miss any opportunity in life? Because I think one of your interviews you talked about studying the books even before you started school in Harvard. Was it Harvard? So I'm like, whoa, you finished all the books even before the first semester started. And that was amazing. So, like, can you please tell us some of these strategies that we need as youth to be able to position ourselves not to miss any chance that comes our way?
Yeah, perfect. This is a topic I love, and the quote "Chance creates a prepared mind" is originated by Oliver Wendell Holmes, who is a writer whose work I really admire, and it really captures in mind the essence of life as I see it. Okay, and this story dates back to, like I said, in Ghana, right there. We were underprepared, right? We knew our parents were in the U.S., so we went to school and fooled around, right? We had chances that other children didn't have because our parents were in the U.S., but we were not prepared. That all stopped when we first came to the U.S. And I'll never forget, my dad took us to a private school in New York because he had not known that we were, basically illiterate. And he said, "These are my two boys. They just came from Ghana. They've gone to good schools in Ghana. I want you to give them the exams for third grade and fifth grade." Nobody told my dad that we couldn't even read at the first grade level. So my dad sat there and watched us attempt to read and was just embarrassed. Embarrassed. Couldn't read at the fifth grade, fourth grade, first grade, even the kindergarten level. We were not prepared. We had taken our chances for granted when we were in Ghana and did not capitalize on them, so our preparation wasn't there. And so when we got another chance in the U.S., because the preparation was there, we completely dropped the ball. That day in the cab, my dad was a New York City cab driver when we first came to the U.S. Before we got back home, he taught us the vowels. That night, we didn't sleep until we knew the alphabet. A week later, we knew the phonics. And that's where it started. In life, it comes down to who's willing to put in the most work when no one's looking. It's easy to put the work in when the bright lights are on and everybody is looking. But who's going to put in the work when no one's looking? That's the person that gets ahead. And so to that story, by the time I adopted this mentality, I knew I was going to Harvard for medical school. Harvard was the number one medical school in the country. They get the top students from Yale and Princeton and all of the great U.S. universities. And so I had gotten a chance to look at the online curriculum the summer before I started. The unprepared version of me would have just sat back and waited until school started to get ready. But the mindset that I have is, well, if I've got the curriculum in advance, what is to stop me from starting this early? So that by the time I get to school against these competitors, I already have an advantage. So before the first day of class, I spent that whole summer reading every medical school textbook, watching all the online lectures, and I was pretty much, through the whole first year curriculum before the first day. And then the chance came to then compare yourself against the best. I'll never forget, we were in anatomy class, talking about, dissection and anatomical parts. And these kids knew they were smart because they had gone to some of the best universities like Yale and Harvard and Cornell and Duke, but they didn't have my level of preparation, right? They hadn't read all the textbooks. So anything that came up, I knew the answer. I didn't even have to work for it, right? And they were all shocked as to how I would know the answer when they technically may have actually been smarter than I was. And that's what it comes down to, the preparation, right? No matter who you are, no matter what your intellectual ability, if you are better prepared than the next person, you will succeed. And that segues even into my children. My daughter, Nicole, is only 4 years old. She reads at an 8-year-old level. She does math at an 8 or 9-year-old level. Next year, when she starts, kindergarten, the kids are going to be learning how to count to 20. She's already doing multiplication, right? So that level of advantage that you get if you take the time that you have and prepare yourself pays off in the end. So I think a lot of people like to say, oh, you went to Cornell and Harvard and blah, blah. You must have something inherent about you that is different, that makes you intellectually superior. And I may or may not. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. If my preparation is far better than those of my peers, I will succeed. And it's the same thing in surgery and every aspect of life.
Thank you so much for that, Doc. Viewers and listeners out there, I hope you are getting it. And I am getting so much from our discussion today. If your preparation is so much better than your peers, you're going to get ahead. And then also, there is something that I wrote from what Doc said. It says, who is going to put in the work when no one is looking? So, yeah, you have to do that. You just don't have to work when everyone is looking. You also have to work when no one is looking. So, Doc, how can teenagers or people in general follow their dreams irrespective of challenges? So when you look back in Ghana, sometimes people even don't have the opportunity to go to school, or even when they have the opportunity to go to school, sometimes the child wants to go to school, but the parents doesn't even have like money for the child to buy food.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what should this person do? What irrespective of these challenges, how can these children or how can people just try and then persevere?
No one, if it's truly a dream or a passion, no one should keep you from it, right? No one's ever going to say it's going to be easy, but there's nothing beyond the realm of possibility if you put the work in. If it's difficult to the point where you don't have the resources, it may not happen now, but the question you have to ask yourself is, what are you doing today to acquire those resources so that down the line you may have the chance and the opportunity? I get a lot of messages from people, hey, can you help me do this? I want to start this business. And my first question is, okay, what is your business plan? And they go, oh, I don't have a business plan. I never thought about one. And it's like, there are obstacles. We all have obstacles. But you need to be comfortable taking the very first step. It might take you 10 steps instead of 2 steps, like it would take somebody else. Have you taken that very next step? Can you figure out that next step? If you can't figure out, who have you reached out to determine what you need to do? Like I said, when we came to the US, I didn't speak English. I couldn't read or write, so I was far behind my peers. I could have let those disadvantages stop me and say, you know what? Because I am in the school district in the South Bronx, it's not a very good school district. Because I can't read or write, even though my peers can, these are obstacles that are going to prevent me from going to Harvard someday. And instead, rather than doing that, it's like, well, let me take the very next step. If I can't read or write, let me take the very next step to learn how to read or write. And so to me, by breaking it down to small segments, taking the very next step and doing the very best at that, then taking the step after that and doing the very best at that, it may take you longer, but you will achieve that dream.
Thank you so much, Doc. So it may take you longer, irrespective of any challenge, but once you work on it, you are going to achieve it. So let us all try to work on it. Let us do our best to work on whatever thing we want to achieve, whatever goal we have, try to work on it. Just do your best. Let me just even take out try. There is nothing like try. Work on it, and then you achieve it. So let's talk about your support system. I listened to your interview. I always go back to your interviews. Yeah, I did my research. So, so you talked about your brother. You talked about your parents helping you to get to where you are now. So how did your parents and siblings contribute to you, like in you achieving your goal?
Perfect. So, I'm blessed to have parents that care about me and prioritize the fundamentals, which was education. Um, but beyond that, one of the things that's so important is to surround yourselves with the right people, people that are willing to go the extra mile. There's that saying, everybody wants to be a lion until it comes time to do the things that lions do, right? If you surround yourself with sheep, that is who you will learn from. And in life, what I'm always looking for are the peer groups around me who are doing the things that I want to be doing, right? And for me, that's my brother. My brother and I are 2 years apart, and we're very competitive. We compete at almost everything, even the most trivial of things. I know my brother's going to do his best because someday we're going to come head to head, and he wants to come out on top. And so in life, we've always pushed each other. In high school, he worked 3 jobs. The next year, I picked up another 3 jobs just to keep up with him. In college, he came home with almost a perfect GPA, grade point average. So the next year, I had a almost perfect grade point average. And so in life, it's so important, if you're not motivated by your peers, to find people who motivate you to do your best. Find people who cause you to evaluate what you consider success and realize that that was your definition of success, but there's more success ahead if you're willing to persevere. And that's always so important. I find people that look around at their circles and they feel proud that they're the most successful person in their circle. If you're the most successful person in your circle, you're around the wrong crowd, right? You should never be the most successful person in your own circle. That means that you are lowering your standard and not fully achieving your potential. And it's sad to say, you should never leave friends. Friends will always be friends. But when it comes to mentors and peer groups and people that should inspire you to be your best, the moment you realize that you have outgrown that peer group, it's important to find other mentors and other people, other support staff who are going to push you to be your best in whatever it is that you're chasing. And even for me as a plastic surgeon, you know, I'm proud of my work. A lot of patients feel that I do great work, but that's not enough. I don't want to sit back and rely on the accolades and the praise that my patients give me. I want to look around the whole country, the whole world, to see who's getting better results, right? That's who I'm comparing myself to, not the people that are average, but the people that are great. And that's how you fully achieve greatness, in my opinion.
Thank you so much for that, Doc. So if you are the most successful person among your peers, please, you have to try and then watch around. You have to get out of there. So you have to make sure you move up, and then get into the group that's maybe you are the less successful person, and that will motivate you to move up. So thank you very much for that, Doc. And we are almost getting to the end of our discussion today, although I don't want us to end it today. If you just joined us today, this is Teen Leadership and Entrepreneurial Development Foundation. Today we have here with us Dr. Theodore Nyame, an amazing and incredible plastic surgeon. He's originally from Ghana, and he's here. He practices here in the United States. So we are talking about chances favors the prepared mind. We've had so many information, so many interesting, incredible information from Doc today. The information that you are not never going to get from anywhere except from Doc. So please, you have to make sure you tap into this information and then use it to develop yourself. So we'll move on to our next question for our discussion today. And before I move to our next question, our parents out there have to know that we need them in our lives. We need them as support system in our lives. We need them to encourage us. So before to our next question, how can the youth and parents learn from that support system, and how can we build others if we lack? So from the support system that you got when growing up, how can we learn from that, both the youth and the parents?
Yeah, I think having
Doc, I think you're on
life,
mute.
but but ideally, sometimes we see the people that biologically gave birth to us as our parents and our support. But what happens if somebody has somebody in their life who's not helping, or the parent themselves need help, right? Then what do you do? I think too many times we are so drawn to the idea that our parents are our only support that we don't seek other people that are truly our support. I've learned so much from so many people, right? I have a wonderful mother and father, but I think of all the people that I've met, and I consider myself to have at least 5 fathers and at least 5 mothers, because there are at least 5 men in their lives who taught me different things about how to be a man, right? How to support my wife, my children, and all of those things. So if you're not getting the support, right, because you can't change what it is that other people do, right? You can.
Hello, Doc. I think we missed you. We can't hear you, so. So, viewers out there, if you just joined us today, we have here with us Dr. Theodore Nyame. He's a renowned plastic surgeon here in the United States, originally from Ghana. I'm going to read some of his accolades to you. I was really surprised, at the same time elated and happy to have him on our platform. So okay, Doc is back, so I'm just going to
Hey,
let him continue.
yeah, sorry, I don't know what happened there. It looks like it cut off. But,
Yeah.
like I was saying, when it comes to support, there's so many people beyond your biological parents who can support you. I think about one particular man who used to drop me off at school every morning, and how he was there as a support figure for his children. And I look back at that and I go, wow, this is the kind of person I want to be when it comes to how involved I want to be with my children. So it's important just to seek out mentors and seek out guides who can broaden your horizon rather than relying on the same people who may not be there and saying, well, this is the person I'm counting on. Once somebody's shown themselves to who they are, if they're not what you need, then you need to move on and find others.
Thank you so much. We have to look for mentors. Mentors are really important. Our support system shouldn't only be our parents and siblings. We have to look out for mentors, and it doesn't hurt to ask. So,
Mhm.
yeah. And some of us sometimes look at them as mentors, although we do that as from a distance. If we have to go to them, we do, but mentors are really important, and I really support that, Doc. I've had that experience a lot, and really asking people to be your mentors really helps, and they direct you in the right path. So, Doc, it seems this is our last question, but before we go to our last question,
Mhm.
we have a question on Facebook from Levi Costa. So, he's asking, what is liposuction? Does it have any side effects in the long run? Why are silicone used in cosmetic surgery? What are the side effects?
Got it. So liposuction is a way of reducing fat in areas. So as most people realize, as we get older, we start to accumulate fat and volume in areas where we don't want to accumulate it. So liposuction has suction at the end, and then by passing the little cannula through the fatty areas, removes the fat. Very successful outcomes with liposuction. Patients generally are very happy as long as you know what you're doing and you go to somebody reputable for liposuction. And then when it comes to silicone, sometimes we use different materials in surgery, not just for cosmetic surgery, but reconstructive surgery. For example, if somebody has breast cancer and has lost their breast, we can use, since they've lost the breast because they've had cancer surgery, the silicone can be used to replicate the feeling of natural breast. So those are some of the reasons why we use silicone.
Oh, thank you for that answer. I didn't know that myself. So thank you.
Yeah.
Please, those here on Zoom with us, please, if you have any question for Doc, please keep your question coming. Just type your question in the chat box. Although we'll try and then keep Doc for maybe 5 minutes or 10 minutes after our Facebook Live here on Zoom. If you want to talk to Doc one on one, you have to join us here on Zoom. So but he has to go after this one because he has his case with him. With our last question, Doc, what is your message to the young people out there who are interested in pursuing a career in plastic surgery?
Uh, so if you're interested in pursuing a career in plastic surgery, the first thing to do is find a mentor or find somebody who is doing plastic surgery so that you can be certain that this is what you want to do. Plastic surgery it depends on the country that you're in, but at least in the United States, it involves 4 years of college, 4 years of medical school, 6 years of training, and then a fellowship. I say all that because people hear the things that you need to do and go, "Oh, that's too much," right? If if it's something that you're passionate about, something that you've dreamed about, there's no such thing as too much. So the level of training shouldn't deter you.
Thank you for that, Doc. I said that was my last question, but I have another question that I really want to ask. So, Doc, what are are you thinking of going back to Ghana to help with with all this experience?
Yeah.
Are you thinking of going back to Ghana to help your country, or have you done any projects in Ghana? Some of
Yeah.
us
Thank you.
will. Okay.
Yeah, that's a great question. I feel so fortunate to be where I am in life, and I think if I turned my back on the country where I was born and never went back to help, it would be a huge sort of disappointment to me and to my family and all the people that have supported me. So I've been back to Ghana and done 2 medical missions there. Really, what I would love to do is get more involved in medical teaching, right? Either teaching surgical techniques, surgical procedures, how to suture. That's really where right now the passion lies. As you can see, my kids in the back are 2 and 4. And as you know already, I'm already teaching them a lot. One of the things that we'll be teaching them is how to suture. So at some point when they're old enough to travel, I would actually love to come back to Ghana with them, have them, see me in surgery, give them that experience so that not just, from a generational standpoint, not just me as one individual can go back, but I can teach them that this is something that's important to themselves as well, so that we can hopefully start generations of people going back to help. My brother, who does brain surgery, is also in line in that same vein. So, right now, because of how young they are, I'm mostly going to be here, but I would love to do more virtual sessions like this, or even teach, surgery, or have folks abroad be able to watch surgery and learn some of these techniques. And then once my kids are old enough to travel, come back and do more medical mission work.
Okay. We do not have any question on Facebook yet, but
Mhm.
oh, the question just keeps on coming, and I need to ask. So I'm going to ask. So I promised the viewers I was going to ask for the tips you use in the secrets or the tips you use in teaching your kids. Because I was really amazed when I saw them spelling those words at that age on Instagram. So we need those tips, Doc.
Yeah. Well, I think in general, we tend to limit people's potential for reasons that are beyond me. So, both of my kids are well advanced. My 2-year-old reads at the level of probably a 5-year-old now, and my 4-year-old reads at probably about 8 or 9-year-old level. And for me, it starts with an understanding of just like what my dad, taught me the alphabet, the sounds the alphabet makes, and then I've got a number of techniques. That every once in a while, like I post on Instagram as to how to teach different things. And so over the years, I've learned how to teach different things just with the tools. For example, addition, right? Teaching addition requires a child to be able to connect the number, like say 3, with 3 separate objects. So that's the first thing you teach. Once you teach that, and then teaching addition requires them to understand that in addition, you combine those 2 objects. And so I use a number of toys and manipulatives. And, once I find more time, I'm actually going to be doing an Instagram session on teaching different topics. So I think it's one thing to look back and say, my kids are advanced. But if you never reach back and help others do the same thing, you're selling yourself short and not really giving back. So tune in on Instagram, and I'll be able to share some more of those tips.
Thank you so much, Doc. We really appreciate your time. We really appreciate your availability. Although as we can all see, you're a very busy person, and we just, instead of you having time for your family, you're here with us. We really appreciate it. And before you leave, Doc, could you please, if someone wants to get in touch with you, how can
Hmm.
they connect with you? And are you
Perfect.
willing
So,
to mentor some people? Because here on our program, people reach out to us. So, Teen Leadership and Entrepreneur Development Foundation, what we do is mentor and coach teenagers to achieve their career goals. So, we have some of the teenagers reaching out to us, asking for mentors. So, are you willing to mentor some of our people for us? And then also, how can someone out there reach out to you if they want to talk to you?
yes, absolutely willing to mentor and happy to mentor. I have several people that I mentor from high school level, college level, so on and so forth. My Instagram is Dr. Theodore Nyame. Anybody can send me a message there, and that's probably the easiest way to reach me. It usually is about a 3 to 4 day turnaround time to get back in touch with people, but I'd be more than happy to mentor individuals on that platform.
Thank you so much, Doc. And before we leave to our viewers, so we promised you early this year that we are going to bring to you coding and programming. So Teen Leadership and Entrepreneur Development Foundation planned with some students in University of Ghana, and they are into coding and programming. So they are going to teach our kids, our brothers and sisters, how to program and code. So for this, we really want to know how efficient this is going to be. So we are going to create a Facebook community purposely for the programming and coding. We are also going to create a WhatsApp group purposely for that. So if you have any kid out there, we are looking at JHS2 upwards. If you're in graduate school, you can join because coding, myself, I'm now learning how to code. So if you're in graduate school, you can join us. And our sisters in Eugene are willing to teach us. But we want to know how efficient this is going to be. So it's going to be for a group of people. If you want to join us, please link up, message us on Facebook or any of our platforms, and we are going to add you to the group. So watch out. We are going to start the lessons next Saturday. So it's going to be, if we have the Talk on STEM program this Saturday, the next Saturday will be coding and programming with Teen Lead Foundation. So thank you all so much for joining us. Doc, I'm sorry, we have a question on Facebook. So please permit me to ask the question for the person. So the person says, I didn't hear you talk about the side effects of the use of silicone in plastic surgery. Can you please tell us about it? So if there is anything like that. So please, you're on mute.
Oh, okay. Let me unmute myself. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's what's considered, medical grade silicone, and then there's just, regular silicone that people find at Home Depot. So there have been some cases where people who are not plastic surgeons or not qualified have taken, regular silicone that you find at places like Home Depot and injected it into different areas so that they can achieve a certain result. And that could have really, really severe complications. Silicone that's used in things like implants for breast reconstruction for cancer patients, that silicone is of a different quality and different consistency. So the outer shell is made of silicone, and that also contains silicone. And so that's typically what's used. There are a number of things that we see sometimes, something called capsular contractor, which you can see if an implant has been in for, say, 20 or 30 years. But most of the times, I think when people look at, talking about complications, they're talking about some of the things that they see in the news where somebody who's not a plastic surgeon injected, some version of silicone that they found at a place like Home Depot into some body part, and then the patient or the person has an inflammatory response to that.
Thank you for the answer. We have to let Doug go. If you have any question, you can message him on Instagram, or just ask me the question. I can message him for you. So thank you, viewers. Thank you for joining us. Watch out for Teen Lead Foundation teaches coding and programming next week, Saturday. We have a lot of goodies for you. For now, we are going to try and then bring Doc's brother and sister on board next time. So watch out
That's
for
right.
them too. Okay. Thank you everyone for joining us. See you next week.